Close your eyes for a moment. Feel the stillness. That is the doorway to the power that moves the stars and spins the earth. In that silence there is a secret, a truth so simple the mind overlooks it, and yet so powerful it reshapes all of life. Give it to God, stop worrying, He will do the impossible. You were never asked to carry the weight, you were asked to believe. You were never meant to figure out the how, only to know in the deep silence of your being that it is done. That what you have asked for already is, in another dimension, in a higher realm, waiting to crystallize into form. Worry is the child of doubt. It is the conversation of the world that believes it must make everything happen by force, by fear, by frantic movement. But the inner man, the true self, knows better. He knows that imagination is the secret place of the Most High. He knows that what is conceived within is made real without, if only you will not disturb the seed with anxiety. The moment you surrender your desire to God, to the I Am within, you give it life. You hand it over to the part of you that is beyond limitation, beyond effort, beyond the laws of this world. But if you take it back with worry, you halt the process. You dig up the root to see if it's growing. You delay what was already guaranteed. You must learn the art of inner stillness. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and let that feeling become your secret dwelling place. When you walk through your day, walk as though the answer has already come. When you lie down at night, let sleep carry you into the dream where it is already. So do not try to make it happen. Rest in the knowing that it already has. There is no power outside of you that needs to be convinced. The power is within you, waiting for your surrender. Not surrender in weakness, but surrender in faith. Faith is not hoping, it is knowing. Knowing that what you have imagined is the voice of God speaking through you. Knowing that what you feel in the silence is the seed of your miracle. What men call impossible is only a label placed upon things the senses cannot yet perceive. But the imagination is not bound by sight, nor by time, nor by logic. It sees from the end, it hears the unseen. It moves, the spirit moves, free, fluid, fearless. When you align with that inner world, the outer must conform. It has no choice. It is law. So stop asking when, stop begging, stop repeating the same prayers as though God has not heard. He heard you the first time. The moment the desire rose in you, the answer was born. Now let go, rest, feel it done. And carry yourself with the peace of one who knows that the universe is rearranging itself right now to bring you the impossible. This is not fantasy. This is the truth that sets you free. Give it to God. Then dare to live as though it's already yours. Because it is. Do not be deceived by appearances. The world, with all its forms and facts, is but a reflection of your inner state. It is not causative. It does not move first. What you see and experience is the echo of what you have accepted as true within. And so when you begin to worry, when you pace the floor or rehearse problems in your mind, you are affirming the very reality you wish to change. You are planting the same seed again and again and wondering why it bears the same fruit. There must come a moment when you say enough. I have tried with my effort. I have struggled with my reasoning. I have exhausted my mind searching for a way. And now I turn within. I release this desire not into the air, not into the hands of fate, but into the spirit that gives life to all things. I give it to God. I give it to that eternal presence within me, the source and sustainer of all creation. When you truly give it to God, you stop asking whether it's working. You stop checking for evidence. The farmer does not dig up the soil each day to see if the seed is sprouting. He trusts the process. He waters. He waits. He knows the nature of the seed. In the same way, your imagination is the womb of creation. When you impress it with the feeling of fulfillment and leave it there in peace, the harvest is certain. The mind that is still and trusting is the mind that commands reality. Not by force, not by willpower, but by alignment. The universe responds not to your panic, but to your peace. That inner state is the magnet. What you truly feel to be real becomes your experience, not through toil, but through law. You were not designed to carry burdens. You were designed to create through vision and faith. Worry wears down the mind, clutters the heart, and blinds the eyes to opportunity. But when you release, when you let the I Am within take the lead, you move differently. You walk in rest. You speak with confidence. You act not out of desperation, but out of inspired knowing. There is a vast difference between wanting and knowing. Wanting looks outward and sees lack. Knowing turns inward and finds completion. One begs, the other declares. One waits for a sign, the other becomes the sign. You must practice this shift daily, moment by moment, until it becomes your natural state, until giving it to God is not a one-time act, but a lifestyle of divine partnership. You are not alone. You were never meant to be. That longing in your heart, that picture in your mind, that desire rising again and again, it is not random. It is the voice of God within you, reminding you of what is already yours in the eternal. The desire is the preview of coming fulfillment, but it is yours only when you believe, when you receive it in consciousness, when you assume it without evidence and persist without fear. You must learn to see with the inner eye. Close your eyes and imagine it done. Feel the joy of having. Hear the congratulations, the laughter, the peace. Let it saturate your being, that it becomes so vivid that when you open your eyes, the outer world feels like the illusion. Then, and only then, does the power move on your behalf. It is not your job to know how it will come. That is the domain of spirit. The how is never your concern. The method, the means, the sequence of events, these belong to a higher order. Your only work is to remain faithful to the end vision, to the feeling of the fulfilled desire. That feeling is the prayer. That assumption is the signal. And when it is strong and unwavering, the impossible becomes inevitable. Many grow weary because they plant the seed and then worry it into stillness. They try to force the tree to grow by shouting at the soil. But this is not the way of divine creation. Divine creation is gentle. It is quiet. It is confident. It knows the law. It knows the promise is sure. So it waits in peace and moves only when moved from within. To give it to God is not a passive act. It is the most powerful choice you can make. It is a declaration of faith in the unseen, a refusal to bow to appearances. It is choosing to believe the report of spirit over the noise of the senses. It is walking into your day, as if the doors have already opened even when they are still closed to the eye. Faith is not blind. Faith sees what the eye cannot. It sees the higher truth. It sees the blueprint before the building, and it rests in that seeing. It trusts that what is real in spirit must become real in form just as surely as the dawn follows the night. You may say, but I've waited so long. Yes, but have you waited in faith or in fear? Have you rested in the fulfillment or rehearsed the failure? There is a difference. True? Waiting is active. It is rich with inner experience. It is alive with thanksgiving. It is creative. It prepares the space for what is to come. It rejoices before the blessing arrives, knowing it cannot be denied. Gratitude is the language of trust. When you are truly grateful for what you have not yet seen, you announce to the universe that it is already yours. And that vibration, that frequency is what draws the outcome to you without delay. Not because you earned it, not because you forced it, but because you aligned. Stop watching the clock. Time is not your master. Spirit is not bound by dates and deadlines. What seems delayed is not denied. It is being perfected. There are things being arranged behind the scenes that you could never calculate. People are being moved. Doors are being unlocked. Paths are being cleared. All because you dared to believe. If only you could see the machinery of heaven working in your favor, you would never doubt again. You would laugh at fear. You would stand taller. You would speak with greater authority. You would rest not in resignation but in dominion. You are not begging God to do something He has not yet decided. You are agreeing with what He has already spoken. You are stepping into the finished work. The desire was placed in you because its fulfillment already exists in spirit. You are not creating something from nothing. You are revealing what already is. And how do you do that? Through your assumption, through your inner speech, through your faithful imagination. Every time you imagine the end fulfilled, you are fertilizing the seed. Every time you feel it real, you are watering the dream. And every time you give thanks in advance, you are accelerating. This is not wishful thinking. This is the law. This is how creation has always worked. All things begin and end in consciousness. What you accept as true becomes your reality, not because you forced it, but because you believed it. So again I say, give it to God, hand over the weight, the timeline, the logic, the fear. Let it go. And as you do, feel the shift, feel the peace return, feel the inner knowing begin to rise. That is your confirmation, that is your signal. That is the substance of things hoped